Hey everyone, it's Sam Ovens here, and I wanted to create this video for you to really talk about your game plan. And what I mean by this is, in the way I like to think about life is pretty much that it's just a game. And like any game, you've got to try and figure out how it works, what the rules are, like who you're competing against, and really the outcome that you want and the strategy that you're going to use to play the game to get where you want to go and get the performance that you want. Now, in this video today, I'm going to walk you through the game plan that I have personally used to start my business from absolute scratch. So, I used to have a 9-to-5 job not even that long ago. It was about 5 years ago now. I had a 9-to-5 job. I knew nothing about business, nothing about entrepreneurship at all. And I quit my job, dropped out of college, and moved back home into my parents' garage and thought, well, I'm going to start my own business. And, I went about starting my own business, and my first few businesses failed. And, I was really just spinning my tires trying to figure things out on my own. And it was extremely hard, and it was a testing period of, my life. And, over time, I started to figure some things out, and I started my own consulting business. And in my first year with my consulting business, I made $100,000. The next $500,000, the next $1.2 million, then $2.4 million, and then the next year, which was last year now, I made around $18 million. And this year, Forbes featured me and my company, Consulting.com, on their 30 under 30 list. And they valued my company and estimated my net worth at $65 million US. So, I went from having a 9-to-5 job, quitting, living in my parents' garage knowing nothing, to having a company that is, valued at $65 million and being on the Forbes 30 under 30 list in about 5 years' time. Now, why I tell you that is not to try and show off or brag or anything like that, but just to tell you that, really to go from that transformation, from that period of my life where I was really struggling to now, I had to figure a lot of things out, and I had to have a plan. And really, there's a good saying that's, by not planning, you're really planning to fail. So in your life and in your business, if you don't have a game plan, if you don't know what your game plan is, if you don't have a map and a strategy, well, you do have a plan. And that plan is that you're planning to fail. So a game plan is really important, and in this video I'm going to walk you through my own one right now and really tell you how you can take my game plan and implement it yourself starting immediately to really transform your life and transform your business and get some results. So we're going to walk through these three right now, and then after that I'm going to open up this black box here and show you what's inside. I'll just give you a sneak peek now. But this black box is responsible for creating over $400 million. It's also responsible for helping over 3,100 people quit their jobs. It's created around 25 millionaires, and over 451 people have been able to get six-figure incomes from what is in this black box. And after I walk you through this game plan here, 1, 2, and 3, we're going to open this box up and I'm going to show you inside it. So let's get started right now with number 1. So the first thing you need, if you want to have a good game plan, is you really need to have some focus. Focus is the first thing that you need with a plan. I see a lot of people sit down to try and make a plan, and they have absolutely no idea what their main focus point is. In life, you just can't be good at everything. There is no one in the history of mankind who's been good at everything. And just think about it for a moment. Who is good at everything? Nobody. But who are the greatest people of all times? If we just stop and think about, who's the greatest person in this sports game, like basketball? What about football? What about golf? What about business? What about finance, trading stocks? When we pause to think about the greatest people of all time, they have a focus. And then when you really dig into it and look beneath the covers and look beneath the surface, what enabled these people to become great is that they focused, and they had laser-like focus on one specific thing. So when it comes to creating a game plan and really transforming your life, the first and most important thing is focus. Now, when I say focus, that's a very generic thing, but when you're starting your own business, focus really is picking a niche. You know, a niche is like picking a little field of play. It's like picking a smaller game within the overall big game. So if we're to look at, life in general, that's one game. But then within the life game, there is like the business game or the entrepreneurship game. And then within that game, there's smaller games. There's, you could start a business in personal training. You could start a business, helping photographers or doing wedding planning or all sorts of different things. So it's important to look at the overall big picture game, then the smaller one, and then the smaller one. Now, when you're getting started in business, it is so important that you pick a small game to play. If you were to just try and compete with someone like Amazon, someone like Google, someone like Facebook, then you're just going to get absolutely steamrolled. But when you pick something small to focus on, it's amazing the sort of results that you can get in a very short amount of time. So when it comes to creating your plan, you really need a niche. And I'm going to tell you how you can pick your niche right now. So, I see so many entrepreneurs get started in business, and I ask them like, what do you, who's your market, or who are you helping? And they give me a very generic answer, which is pretty much, I help everybody, or I help people with businesses, or I help people that want to grow their businesses. And I'm like, well, that's way too generic. Generally, when someone has a generic sentence or statement like that, when you ask them that question, it means that they haven't thought out their niche properly and they don't have enough focus. And I guarantee you their results that they're getting in their business reflect the fact that they don't have enough focus here. So really, how do we pick a niche? This is a problem that I see so many people have. They're like, Sam, I just can't pick something. How do I pick a niche to focus on? Or how do I know that I'm going to pick the right thing? And this is a really interesting question. And since I've started helping people start their own consulting businesses, I've helped over 10,000 people, and I've also had to help myself as I struggled through that process and everything as well. So I've had incredible insight, and I've been able to observe a lot of things when it comes to people going from knowing nothing about business to starting a business and picking a niche. And really, the best process that I've found to pick a niche is to, first of all, come up with a list of like 4 or 5 things that interest you or that you think you're good at. So to do that, all you need to do is just sit down, grab out a piece of paper, and write down 4 or 5 things that you're interested in. And if you're having trouble thinking of what things you're interested in, an awesome hack is to go to YouTube and then look at your search history and your video watching history there. YouTube just saves everything there and you'll be able to see it in your history. And just look at the sorts of videos that kind of go in there. And that will give you a lot of insight into the things that you're interested in. People often, they can't think of the things they're interested in because they're really defaults. When someone is interested in something, they will just kind of default to doing that whenever they have spare time. And they don't think about it. It's not really a thought process. They don't stop and think, oh, I have spare time now, what should I do? Write down a list of things to do and then go and do these things. It's just default. It just happens and you just fall into it and you don't even know you've fallen into it. And so this is why it's very hard for people to pick a niche and really understand the things they're interested in. But a nice objective way to look at this is to just look at YouTube and look at the things that you've been watching and searching over the past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, in the past year. Another good way to figure out what things you're interested in is to just send out an email to to 10 people who know you really well. Could be your mom, your dad, your siblings, it could be some of your best friends, and it's just a real simple email, and all you need to say is, hey, I'm doing some research for this for starting my own business, and I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Like, number one, what are some things that you think I'm really good at? Like, just simple, like that. Now, we're not coming up with this ourselves, we're asking other people, because often the things that we're good at, we underestimate, and they're too far beneath our nose for us to even recognize. Because we default to this behavior and we're naturally like this, we often can't see it. We're blind to it. And other people are great to kind of get perspective into those things. So we've got the YouTube search history, and we've got an email going out to some friends. And those are a couple of ways to find out some things you're interested in. And that really is this first step of picking your niche. And I'm going to explain the full process for picking your niche right now. So the way to think about it is that you've got these 3 circles. And number 1 is things that you're interested in. So how do we find these interested things? Well, you can sit down, write them down on a piece of paper yourself, look at your YouTube search history, write them down, ask some friends, send out some emails, write them down. Now we've figured out some things we're interested in. That's the first step. The second step is to think about the things that you have skills in. So, are you currently working in a 9-to-5 job and as a particular person with a profession? Like, are you in software development? Are you in web design? Are you in photography? Are you in accounting? Do you have like a law degree? Are you currently practicing law? The second thing we want to think about is the skills that we have and that we have learned and been trained in. So this is the second circle. Now, your friends can give you some insight into this, but also you should be able to tell the things you're good at, because these will be the things that other people are probably paying you to do. Now, if you don't have any of these ones here, it doesn't matter either, because what I'm about to show you on this third circle is the most important thing. A lot of people, when they start businesses, they think it's all about the skills. But the truth is, it's not really about the skills at all. When I started my business, I had absolutely no skills. All I really knew how to do was like drink beers and eat McDonald's. And so really, I had to learn all of these things. But it's not the skills that's important. It really is the interest, and most importantly, this next thing which I'm going to show you. So the third one here is market needs. This one is the most important by far. Now, this is one that a lot of people, don't really discuss. They all talk about skills, getting more skilled up, learning some more things, or having passion and all of this stuff. But the truth is, you could have, you could be the most skilled person in the world. You could have the most passion and desire and interest in the world. But if there is not a market need aligned with these things, then the business is absolutely guaranteed to fail. It won't even make a cent, because the most important thing in business is the market's needs and desires. Now, I'll just give you a crash course on like economics, and not economics the way school taught you or the way you probably think of economics. I want to give you economics in plain English so that you can really understand market needs. So the way the global economy really ticks, the way the machine works, is based on people's needs and desires. And what I mean by that is that, every day people wake up and they go about their day trying to get closer to where they want to go. Every single human being in the world has desires, and they have a place where they want to kind of evolve to. Some people might want to be better at music. Some people might want to find a girlfriend or a wife. Some people might want to lose weight. Some people might want to party. Some people might want to travel. Every single person in the world has some desires, and they also have this idealistic image of themselves. So one thing that's unique about human beings is that we're able to think out into the future and kind of form a picture of ourselves and think, this is what I want to be like. I want to be more like this. And really, this is what makes human beings different from all the other species in the universe, is that we're able to think out into the future and project this idealistic image of ourselves. And then each day we wake up and go about our day, we're really striving to get closer to this ideal image and this ideal situation. Now, how do we go about doing that? Well, we buy things. We buy products and we buy services. You know, we might buy particular food because we want to lose weight so we can get closer to this idealistic image. We might go out and party because we want to be seen as someone who's having more fun, and we want to, you know, have meet new friends, meet new people. And so, you know, that's the idealistic image of ourselves. So we buy, you know, party tickets, drinks, bar tickets, all those sorts of things. And then some people might want to travel. So because their idealistic image of themselves is going around different countries, exploring different cultures and things like that. So you get my point. Really, the driving force of the human race compared to all other animals and everything, the reason why we've evolved so much over time is because we're able to think out into the future, project this idealistic image of ourselves, and then optimize our day-to-day actions to try and get there. That is how we as humans evolve. And how the economy works is it's basically a marketplace of goods and services available to people to purchase to try and get closer to where they want to go. It's basically a marketplace to feed the machine of evolution. And the most powerful driving force in the universe really is evolution. You know, that's how human beings go about their day, and that's how we've, you know, developed all the technology and countries and civilizations that we have. So when I say market needs is the most important thing, it truly is the most important thing. It's the most important thing in the entire world. And so a lot of people think it's all about passion, like, oh, what am I passionate about? And, you know, don't get me wrong, you have to have some interest in these sorts of things. Otherwise, you won't keep going when it gets a little bit tough. And a lot of people think it's all about the skills. But honestly, it's not about the skills. It's mostly about the market's needs and desires. And I'll give you a quick example to really tell you about this. So my first businesses, they failed. And it's because I didn't understand this. And so my first business was an online job board, and I started it. I spent all the money I had on it, pretty much a whole year in hiding, trying to build this thing. And then I finally built it, and I took it to the marketplace, and everyone just said the same thing to me. Hey, this is cool, but I just don't need it. And these words burned into my brain. I just talked to more and more people, and they just kept telling me the same thing. Hey, Sam, this is cool, but I just don't need it. And then I really realized, like, oh my God, I built something that nobody needs. I spent the last year of my life and all of my life savings plus more building something that nobody needs. And that was a really hard pill to swallow, but it taught me the most important fundamental lesson that I have ever learned in my life and in business, which is that you can't go against the current of the market's needs. You know, if you try and swim against the market, you'll drown. It doesn't matter how big you are, how much money you have, how smart you think you are. If you go against the market, you're going to drown. So let's really recap on this first point. So the first thing about creating a game plan is you have to have focus. And how we focus in business is by having a niche. And how we pick our niche is by coming up with some things we're interested in, then looking at the skills we currently have, and then looking at the market's needs and desires. And the perfect niche is the overlap of these three things. If you see that little thing in the middle there, this is really the perfect niche. It's the overlapping of interest, skills, and market needs. Now, how do you know what market needs really are? And this is a good question. So you want to look at what you're interested in, what skills you've got, and then based on the things you're interested in, let's say you write down photography because you're really interested in it, you do it as a hobby, right? So once we've kind of defined that, now we need to look inside the photography market to see what their pains, problems, and desires are. Now, how we do this is we can go and start looking at different photography blogs. We can start looking at the things that photographers blog about, and we can look in the comment sections to see the sorts of things that they have issues with and the things that they really need help with. Another way is to post some things on like Reddit or in forums and different things, and really ask, say, hey, I'm trying to do some research on photography and photographers, and I'm really interested. What are the most painful problems that you face on a day-to-day basis as a photographer? And they will tell you these things. And then you can start to, if some people are really open and willing to share lots of information with you, you can start having calls with them on Skype, you can email back and forth, you can really become a sponge and soak up everything that you need to know about your particular area, and then it'll all become clear to you. After you've talked to enough people, asked enough questions, and really studied the landscape of your particular thing, you will start to notice patterns, and you'll start to notice something that's missing, a gap. I call it a gap because it's you've got a person and they want to be here, and they're currently here, and they're not able to bridge this gap because they're missing something, a product, a service, some advice, some information, something. There's a gap. And this gap is the cause of that person's pain, frustration, desire, and everything. And really, the ultimate business is a provider of the gap. It's, businesses really come in and help people bridge the gap. That's how they work. That's what drives the economic machine and everything. And I'll just show this to you quickly. If we talk about the gap, you've got a person here, and let's say this is their current situation, right? And over here, they've got their desired situation. So here's a person right now. You can just think about yourself right now. You might be sitting here right now. You've got a current situation. How much money you've got, where you are in life, where you live, how you look, how you feel, all of that stuff right now, frozen in this moment of time, that is your current situation, all right? Then your desired situation is really where you want to be. So the thing about humans, and this is the thing that really drives evolution and makes us as a species and a race really evolve so fast compared to other species, is because we have a gap all the time of where we are now and where we want to be. Humans are pretty much never just satisfied staying where they are. If they were, we would have never evolved and developed the world that we have around us today. So the desired situation is really where you want to be. It might be in a week, it might be in a year, it might be in 5, 10 years, but that is the desired situation. Now, the distance between these two things here is called the gap. This thing here is the gap. And it is the distance between the current situation and the desired situation. Now, this is what drives all frustration, pain, and desire in a human and in a marketplace. Because if we're here and we want to be here, that means that there's something's missing here. Otherwise we would already be there, right? And so businesses really want to study the landscape of their particular niche and understand where the people are now, where they want to be in the future, and what's missing. What's the missing piece of the puzzle that we can provide so that we can help people go from here to here. All business and all entrepreneurship really is helping assist and helping aid human evolution through products and services. We're really providers of tools and services and systems and products to help people go where they want to be and really help drive evolution for our marketplace and the whole economic machine as a whole. So that is number one, focus. Now let's talk about number two. So number two, which we've got here, is you need a machine. Now, what do I mean by this? Why do we need a machine? Well, we need a machine because most people go about business day to day, and most people go about their plans day to day without a proven process which they can just use, rinse and repeat again and again and again. Most people go about business and their day to day by really just waking up in the morning and guessing, like, what should I do today? Oh, I'll try this thing. Oh, I'll try that thing. and they're so distracted. You know, they're jumping from shiny object to shiny object, they're jumping from niche to niche, they're constantly questioning themselves. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be doing that? And they're hopping all over the place. And then they never develop consistency in anything, and they never develop a process that works for them, and it just goes rinse and repeat, just That is what I refer to as a machine. You know, if you don't have a machine, then what you really have is just a whole bunch of randomness. That is the opposite of a machine. And a machine really is like a system, and it's a system to really drive your business. It's the engine of growth in your business. And, you know, having started businesses myself, some failed, and, you know, the one I've got right now is very successful. I can tell you that one of the key differences is having a machine. Business is just too hard to just constantly reinvent things every single day and try different things and scatter all over the place. You need to have something that's reliable, something that's systematic, and something that just works time and time again. You know, you need to know that if I put $1 in here, then $10 is going to come out here, and it's going to take 10 days to come out, right? That's how precise you want your machine to be. So for example, in my business right now, I know that if I invest $1 in advertising, within 24 hours, so if I invest like $1 in advertising at 8 a.m. in the morning, I know that before 12 a.m. at night, midnight, that I'm going to get back at least $3 to $5 on that dollar within the day. So that's how I've really got my machine dialed in. And so sometimes I put $30,000 into the machine, and then before the end of the day, out comes $100,000 out of the machine. And it just works like this again and again and again. And it doesn't work like every single day, every single time, like it never doesn't work, but it works most of the time. And that's what's important. You know, it's very hard to develop a machine that works constantly without ever having any issues. Let me get that straight. But it is possible to make a machine that works for you day and night and really works on average like most of the time. So when it comes to starting your own consulting business, the machine that we're after is something that's going to bring us clients. It's a client generating machine. So right here, client generating machine. And this is something that's going to bring us clients. Now in business and in consulting, I see people all the time just like burning themselves out and really just, you know, suffering and really suffocating and choking because they can't get clients into their business. And, you know, in a consulting business, clients bring revenue, and revenue brings like the lifeblood of the whole thing. And if you can't bring revenue into your business, it's going to fail. It's going to die. That is just a fact. And so when it comes to generating revenue, it's so important that you have a systematic machine that's doing it for you all the time instead of you having to do it all the time. Because as humans, you know, we're pretty unreliable, and we're not very good at just following things like routinely every single day. That's just the way it is. And, you know, even if you are good at that, well, you're going to have days where you're sick, you're going to have days where you have to work on something else, and you're going to have time that you need to take off to rest and recover. And so if you're the person that's constantly the one getting clients through cold calling or things like that, well, you don't really have a business. And one of my mentors told me one day, he said, Sam, if you don't have a way to pay money to acquire a customer, then you don't have a business. And that really, that was a really sobering thing to hear back then at that time, because I didn't have that. You know, I had a business where the only way to get clients was to really pull a rabbit out of the hat every single day. So I'd wake up in the morning and I'd think, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do to try and get a client into my business? And I would start looking at blogs, I'd start looking for the next hot topic, you know, things, and I can tell you what the hot topics right now are. They're things like chatbot and Bitcoin and all of these different things. And so, you know, I'd always be looking at these new gimmicks and these new fads thinking, you know, can I use one of these things to try and get a client? And, you know, it was a really painful period of my life because every morning I woke up, I knew I had to get clients, and I knew I had to really pull a rabbit out of the hat because I didn't have a process to follow. And when my business was like that, it really struggled along, and it was really not a fun business to own or be involved with. But now, fast forward to where I'm at right now, my business runs like a machine, and it has a machine at the core of it that's bringing us customers in every single day. Now, I'm going to show you how you can develop one of these. So right now, myself and my clients, the best way we have to really have a client generating machine is with a funnel. So a funnel is like a series of web pages that are kind of linked together that enables someone to go through the particular steps so that they can go from being a total stranger to a paying customer with you. So over here, let's say this person is a stranger. And then over here, let's say this person is a customer. Your machine is really responsible for all of this work, taking someone from being a total stranger, not knowing you, not knowing what you do or anything. They're just oblivious to you completely. And it really converts them into a paying customer who's signed up and is a client of yours. Now, how the machine works is it starts off with an ad. Now, I'll map out each step of the machine first, and then I'll explain each one specifically. So we have an ad, and then we have a landing page, and then we have a value video, and then we have a calendar, and then we have a survey, and then we have a call. And so this is the value video, this is the landing page, then this is the ad, the calendar, survey, and then this is the phone. Not very good at drawing, so that's my best attempt of a phone. Now, an ad. So we need a way to really get in front of our market. So if we go back to our first example here, if we chose photography because we were interested in photography, and then we studied the market, we really looked at the landscape of photography, and we found a huge need in helping wedding photographers get clients, right? So we looked at wedding photographers, and they need help getting clients. They don't know how to do it. They're good at the photography part, but they don't know how to get clients. Let's say that, hypothetically, we looked at the market and found that out. Now, we need a way to get in front of wedding photographers. We need to capture their attention. We need to interrupt them in the middle of their day and in the middle of their life so that we can divert their attention to us. That is the first thing that has to happen. And the best way to make that happen is with an ad. Now, right now, the best place for advertising is Facebook. So Facebook is very easy to use, and it's very cheap to use too if you pick your niche and everything right. You know, no advertising or no machine will work unless you get this stuff right here. But if you've got this right, then this stuff just works like magic. It works like fire. So let's say we create an ad and we target it towards photographers. And specifically, we could target it towards wedding photographers. So we'd go into Facebook, click create a campaign, then it would ask us targeting. Who are we showing this ad to? Well, we'd put in like wedding photographers, and then it would pop up. Now we've got the targeting right. The next thing we need to get right is the message. What message are we going to put in front of them? Well, this comes back to here. When we were studying the market, what were the things that they said to us? You know, this is why it's important to take notes and really listen, because when you come to making your machine and making your ads and things, all the information you need will come from here. The way I like to think about it is, you know, this is where the raw materials are. And then here, we're milling the raw materials and turning it into something. So imagine like, you know, here's where we're collecting all the logs and everything from the forest, and now in this process, we're milling those logs through the forest to produce the end product. And let's say, for example, when we were talking to photographers, they told us that, you know, they have no idea how to sell, they have no idea how to price their services, they feel uneasy asking people for money, and, you know, they really don't feel comfortable like pressuring people at all to buy their services. They're very timid about it. And let's say those are the sorts of things that we found out about photographers. Well, our ad could say, you know, are you tired of being stepped all over by your wedding photography clients? Or don't you wish you just had the courage to ask for more as a wedding photographer? Or another one could be, are you a wedding photographer struggling to get clients, right? Now, we know that these people are going to see this ad. Now, what makes the ad work or not is how well we've done our research here. If we can pick apart this market and find out what makes them tick, and we can find the nerves here, then all we need to do here is just strike those nerves with like a needle. And so an ad is really just targeting those people and striking nerves. Because when you strike a nerve with someone or a chord with someone, they stop and they pause and they forget about everything else they were doing and they just get sucked into this thing. It's like a vortex. And that is what a good ad will do. It's so profound at striking people's nerves that it just sucks them into it. And that is what makes a great ad. Now, after they've clicked on their ad, they'll come through to a landing page. And a landing page is a basic web page that asks someone for their name and email address in exchange for getting something. And in this case, we're going to offer them a value video. And a value video is basically like a 5 to 10 minute video that explains the problem that the market has, and it explains ways to solve that problem. So it essentially provides value. It helps someone in their current situation. So if we're targeting wedding photographers, they need help getting clients. That's what the ad says. The landing page would say, 4 things you need to know to increase your prices and get more clients in your wedding photography business, right? Now, because I'm a wedding photographer and that is my problem, this page speaks to me. It resonates with me. So I'm going to put in my name and my email address to get that video. So after they do that, they come to the video. And once they get to the video, they're just going to watch it because this is a problem that they need help solving. They're looking for information on how to solve this. This is how this whole thing all aligns together and meshes together. This is why this process is, presented in the way it is, because all of these things are needed to create these things. It all works together like a machine. And they'll watch the value video, and if you're able to clearly articulate the prospect's problem, then you will have their trust and attention. There's a really good quote that says, if you can clearly articulate and explain your customer's problem better than they can themselves, they automatically believe that you have the solution. So I'm sure you've had like a rash or something on you before, or you've had like a lump in your neck or some sort of symptom wrong with you. You've been sick. And you start going to Google and you want to search these things and see what it is. And then you stumble across something and you start reading about it and the person has exactly what you have and you're like, oh my God, this person has what I have. At that moment that you really bond with that person who's writing there because they understand you, at that moment you believe that they're going to have the solution. Even if they don't have the solution, this is just a subconscious thing that happens to us. So why it's important to get this right is because the prospect is going to believe that we have the solution if we're able to do this properly. Now, at the end of the video, or in the middle of the video, we want to provide some valuable tips and tricks on how to do this so that we can prove that we know what we're talking about. And then at the end, we want to ask the person to schedule a call with us if they would like additional help. It's as simple as that. We don't need to give them everything in here, we just give them a taste here. And then if they want the full thing, if they want the full meal, they have to schedule a call with us, and they will do that over and over again. I've taught this thing to thousands of people, and this thing works. This thing works in any niche, any country, any type of business. This thing really works. And so they'll schedule a call, and what we use is we have this special software which they can just see a calendar on their computer, and it's connected to our calendar, and it reflects our true availability. And then they'll select a time and a date that works for them, and then it's automatically done. We don't have to do this manual labor back and forth trying to find a time that works, because that sucks. I'm sure you've tried to do that with people before. It's a real pain. Instead of that, they just see the available times, select one, and then they'll show up to the call. But there's one step after this, which is a survey. And why we want people to complete a survey is so that we can better understand them and their situation before we invest time with them on the phone. And because this process involves a phone call, we don't just want to spend time with everyone. You know, we might have some tire kickers who are just going to waste our time. We might have some people who are just not even really interested. They're just kind of looking around and just kind of kicking the can around, seeing what's out there, but this isn't really something that they're motivated and driven to actually do. So the survey is an awesome filtration process that weeds these people out. And we ask different questions in here to understand them, their current situation, and how badly they want the solution. So we can ask them questions like, you know, why should we work with you over everybody else? And so that's a really interesting psychological thing to do to someone, because as someone's coming through this process, they might think that they've got the power and they want to know, or they're going to pick and choose who they work with. But what we want to do is flip it. We want to just invert the power on them. So here they think they have the power, well, we're going to flip it upside down. And if we ask them to now sell us about why we should sell them, you can see what sort of starts to happen, right? The person's like, whoa, now I've got to sell this guy about why I can have a call with him? And this is powerful. You know, if someone has to work hard to sell you about how they can have a sales call with you, that's powerful. You know, most people spend their time day to day cold calling people and pestering them in the middle of the day. I'm sure you've been cold called by someone before. How much do you hate that? You know, it's sleazy. It's like the lowest of the low to just sit there just cold calling people. And so when you do that, the person just pretty much hangs up on you, doesn't answer, or has no respect for you at all. But when you use this process, this person has chosen to schedule a call with you. Not only that, they've chosen the date and the time, and they've blocked it out of their calendar. And not only that, but they've had to sell you why you should talk to them. So when you're doing a cold call, you're trying to sell the person why they shouldn't hang up on you right now, right? When you do this process, this person has had to sell you. So imagine doing sales calls with people who have had to sell you about why you should even talk to them. It seems absurd, but this is the magic and the power of this process and the client generating machine. Now, just to run through some like economics and some things here so that you understand, you know, how this works financially. Well, we pay about $1 per click on Facebook. For if someone clicks on our ad, it costs us $1. Then on the landing page, we should see like a 20 to 40% conversion rate. And let's say 100 people come to our landing page, and then let's say 40 opt in. That means that we're paying $100 to get 40 people to give us their email. That would be $4 per email address. And then that would mean it's $4 to get someone to watch the value video. And then the conversion rate of people going from watching the video to scheduling a call with us is around 10%. So that means that if we're paying $4 per person to view the video, well then it's going to cost us around $40 to get a scheduled appointment in our calendar. So, you know, there's people that just cold call all day long, and then there's some people that don't do anything. And I mean, the people that don't do anything, that's the worst. I mean, imagine like telling someone that your business plan, your plan to be successful in life was to do nothing. It sounds absolutely absurd, but that is what most people do. That is what most entrepreneurs do. And I know this person well because I used to be him. And I used to just lie around in bed because I didn't have the nerves to like call people or, you know, to really get started. And so that's the worst thing you can have. But something that's slightly better but still pretty bad is just cold calling and having no process for getting clients, right? But the best one is to have a process that works like a machine, day in, day out, where you put $1 in and you get money out. And so every single day with this client generating machine, myself and my clients, we put $1 in, and let's say we put $100 in, and then what pops out is let's say $40 appointments in our calendar. Like, how would you like to pay $40 to have scheduled appointments in your calendar with people who are qualified and ready to buy what you have to offer, and you know they've had to sell you about why you should even talk to them? That is what this process provides us with. Now I'm going to talk about number 3 in the game plan. Number 3 is the script. So in this part here, we take someone from a stranger to a scheduled appointment in our calendar with a survey completed, right? But that's not the end of the process. We still need to have a phone call with them. And so number 3 is the script that we use to conduct that phone call. And a script really is like another machine. It really is like a logic machine. So here, this machine is made up of like web pages and technical components, right? That's what makes this machine. But a script, it's not really a technology, it's not really a piece of technology. It's more a machine that consists of logic. It's different things that you say, and it's a different process that you work through to take someone in a conversation from not knowing anything about you to paying you money on the call, right? And just like we don't wing anything here or here, you'll notice here that we look at each part as a real process. We look at each part and we look at the components in it and how it works, and then we figure out a process to use so that we can get it right. In no stage here do we just wing it and guess. We don't guess about what our niche is going to be. We have a process, and we make sure that it aligns with the market needs. When we try and get clients, we don't just guess, we don't just do nothing, we don't hope, and we don't, just cold call people because that's random. We don't want randomness. So we develop a machine. And what we do here is we have another type of machine, a script, a logic machine. Now, the big problem I see with entrepreneurs and consultants is that when they get on calls or when they go to appointments with potential clients, they have no idea how it's going to work, how it's going to flow, what they're going to say, what questions to ask, and what process to step the client or the prospective client through. They just wing it. It just comes off the cuff. Now, when you do this, the results you're going to get are unpredictable. If you go about something without a methodical process, then the outcome is always going to be random and unpredictable. And you don't want randomness and unpredictable outcomes in your life and in your business. Like I said, if you don't have a plan, well, you're planning to fail. And if you don't have a niche, well, you're going to fail too. If you don't have a machine, well, you're going to fail, or maybe not fail, but you might just struggle, right? And here, if you don't have a plan for how to do the call, well, you're going to fail or you're going to struggle. The people who just crush it, the killers in consulting and in any type of business, they have a script. They have a process that they use to take someone from not knowing anything about them to taking out their credit card and paying them money. Now, I'm going to explain the basic process of the script that I use and that my clients use. So let's say here, again, someone is just let's call it start of call. And then let's say over here, this person is now a customer. So there's a process that they need to go through along here. They know a little bit about us because they've seen our ad, watched our video, scheduled a call, but we need to take them from the start of the call to a paying customer down here, all right? Now, we don't just guess how to do this. We have a process. In the first part of the call, we want to set the agenda. That is the most important thing. Now, like I said here, where we get them to sell us about why we should talk to them, it really is a power flip. We're taking the power, the prospect thinks they have the power, we're taking the power out from underneath them and we're taking it for ourselves. In sales, it is extremely important that you have the power. If you don't have the alpha position in any sort of sales conversation, well, you're never going to close the deal. If the other person feels like they have the alpha position, then they're just going to walk all over you, and they're going to take the conversation where they want it to go, and they're going to make the decisions about everything. You can't have that in a sales call. You have to own it. You have to have the alpha position. And so it helps when we do the power flip here, but we also need to do it here at the start of the call again. And this is why we set the agenda. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that we get on the call with this person, and we would say, hey, person's name, let's say, hey, John, welcome to the call. So how this call is going to go is I will start off by asking you some questions about your business and everything so that I can understand it. And then what I'll do is determine if I can help or not. And if I can help, then I will explain what I've got going on and everything, and how I can potentially help you. And then at the end of the call, you can decide whether you want to be a part of it or not. Sound good? So then the prospect, John, is going to say, yep, sounds good. So now he's agreed to my agenda. He's agreed to the process we're about to go through. And this is important, because if I just start trying to take him down that process, it's not going to happen very well. It has to be set from the beginning. Also, you'll notice that I said that at the end of the call, he has to make a decision, right? So we're not going to be left with, let me think about it and stuff down here. Let me think about it's a horrible. And so if we say here, then at the end, you can make a decision if you want to be a part of it or not. We're setting, we're really foreshadowing later events here. And when they agree to that, that's good. We can move down to the next process. And here, we really want to understand. And I would call this assess. This would be kind of part 2. Now, sales is a lot like, the medical profession. That's a very good analogy I can use to explain it. So when you go to the doctor, if you were to just come into the doctor's office and they immediately prescribe you like a whole bunch of pills, like they would go to jail for that. And that's called, in the medical profession, a prescription without diagnosis, or a prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. And you'd go to jail for that sort of behavior. If doctors just went around prescribing people stuff without diagnosing what they have, then the whole world would fall apart. People would be just taking pills with no idea why, or absolutely no reason behind anything. Well, the same is true in sales. A lot of sales people, or entrepreneurs, consultants, whatever, they just want to write someone a script. And the script is what their product or service is. And so as soon as they get on the call, they're just like, I just want to sign this guy up, right? But you've got to think about it differently. That's malpractice, because how do you know if this person needs what you have or not? If the person doesn't need what you have, then you shouldn't even try selling it to them, because if you do, it's going to be pretty much a waste of your time because they don't want it. And it means that there's something bigger going on other than just you not being able to sell him. A lot of people think, oh, I just don't know how to sell people. But if the person doesn't need what you have, it's not your salesmanship. It's the fundamentals in your business. If you get these things right, you can really be pretty bad at selling. I've seen people who mess this stuff up, but they're absolute animals at sales, and they fail, right? Doesn't matter how slick you are on the phone, how much confidence you've got, or how much of a sales machine you think you are. If you don't have this stuff right, you're going to bomb. However, if you have this stuff right, and you're really shy, and you've never sold before in your life, you're going to walk all over the professional salesman. Trust me, I'm like an introvert. I am extremely shy. To do my first sales calls, I had to have beers just so I could kind of calm my nerves down, right? So I have absolutely hardly any confidence, hardly any experience. When I got this stuff right, I just started selling like a machine. And that's how I've been able to grow my business from 0 in a garage in New Zealand to the point now where I own consulting.com, live in Manhattan here, and my business was valued at $65 million by Forbes, and they put me on their 30 under 30 list. And I was able to achieve that, still as an introvert, still shy, still not really outgoing, by having a really good process and having something that solves a market need, right? So here, just like a doctor, we want to understand them, we want to assess them. And so we want to ask them questions like, tell me, where are you at in your business right now? And they might explain it to you. If you're selling to someone who doesn't have a business, then you'd say, tell me where you are with your weight loss, or where you are with your guitar playing, or whatever right now. Understand the current situation, right? And then what you want to do, once you've clearly understood that, take notes, write it all down. You need to understand that person. You need to really think about this person as if they are you. One thing I like to do on these calls is I want to understand this person so well that the decisions that I'm going to recommend to them are the decisions that I would personally make myself, right? That's what you want to think like. Never, ever give people instructions or like advice or anything until you understand them extremely well, because otherwise that's just like a doctor writing scripts for people without even looking at them. So once you've understood their current situation, you also want to understand their desired situation. So where they are right now, and then where they want to be. Remember how I talked about that? This is the driving force of human evolution. Once we understand that, then we can understand the gap. And then once we were about midway through the sales call, we have like a magical sort of moment where we understand where they are, where they want to go, and now we ask them, and this is where all of the magic really starts to happen. We say, John, so you're currently here, you've got your photography, your wedding photography business, and it's making about $4,000 a month, right? That's where you are right now. You've got no process in place to get clients. And you told me that you want to get to a place where you can make like $20,000 a month and have clients come in systematically and reliably so you don't have to worry about it all the time. So tell me, what's stopping you from getting there on your own? That is a really, really powerful question. Now, what this does is the person's just explained where they are, they've explained where they want to go, there's a gap here, and now we're asking them, what's stopping you from getting there on your own? Now, it's important to have the on your own part, because the biggest objection in sales is that, oh, I don't need this, I'll do it on my own, right? So we're bringing it up here. Average salespeople, they deal with this as an objection at the end of the call. If you deal with that stuff at the end, you don't know what you're doing. You bring this stuff up right at the beginning so that you foreshadow everything. We handle all of these things early, and the person will honestly admit to you what's in the way and why they can't do it on their own. And I call this like self-admission. It's really like the prospect is checking themselves into like a clinic. Let's say to say, I've tried this on my own and it didn't work, I give up. I now give all the power of myself to somebody else, right? It's self-admission into like a clinic. And that is what this moment of the sales call does. The person has explained where they are, where they want to go, and now they've just said, I can't get there, this is what's in the way, and I can't do it on my own. And so now they've really admitted everything that they need help, and they've checked themselves in. And now what we want to do is we want to explain what we have to offer. So this would be the third part of the call. So what we have. And so here we just want to provide a very brief statement about what we do. So you could say, all right, well, what I help people with is I help wedding photography business owners. I help them get more clients and really put systems in place to make their business more predictable and more systematic and reliable. And that's really my area of expertise and what I help people do. And then just say nothing. This is really funny. You'll never learn this stuff in any sort of sales thing, because like I said, this is a logic machine. And I've had to do thousands of these calls, record them all, transcribe them all, and analyze and really look at all of the different dots and see how they move and how they interact with each other. And I've studied this thing and engineered it into a process that works like this. And no one else will teach you how to sell like this. It's very different. And why we just state what we have and then shut up is because it's so important that the prospect asks to be sold. You know, the whole time from here to here in the sales call, we've led the way. We've asked the question, prospect responds. We ask question, prospect responds. We ask question, prospect responds. Now that we've gotten them to admit themselves into the clinic, self-admission, they've said, I need help. We just explain what we do, and what we do is exactly what they've just said that they need, right? But then we say nothing. We don't ask a question, we just stop. We say, well, what I help people with is this. Silence. And then it's kind of awkward, like the person will think there was no question there or anything, and then what happens is they will ask you, all right, well, how does that work? And why this moment is so crucial in the sales process is because they need to pull it from you. You know, if you're pushing it down their throat, then they don't really want it. But if they're pulling it from you, it's making them more needy, and it's putting you in a way more dominant position psychologically. So they've got to pull it and extract it from you. And the other beautiful thing about this is that they pull the piece that they need, and you just give them the piece they need. So if you were to explain what you do and then try and push everything on them, you're going to ramble on for a long time, and you're going to say a bunch of things which they have no interest in, right? That's the danger of just speaking. But when we just shut up and we let them pull it from us, we only provide them with the little pieces that they need. So everything we tell them about what we do is precisely what they want to hear themselves. And then the conversation keeps going like this. They keep asking us questions, we respond, and then be quiet. Question, respond, and be quiet. And then you just keep doing this. You keep going, and then what will happen is the prospect will say, all right, well, how much does this cost? Or, all right, well, like, how much does this cost? Or like, how do we get started? You know, that's the last thing on their mind. And that is where the, price comes in. Now, you never want to mention the price yourself. You want the prospect to ask you it first, and then you tell it to them. Now, here's why. Because if I just say my price to someone, then they might not respond or anything like that because they didn't even want to know that. They might not even be listening when I say that. But when they ask, what's the price? It changes the dynamics of the conversation, and then we say what the price is, and then we shut up, and now the ball's back in their court. Now they've got to talk, right? And this is the magical thing about sales. You want to make sure that after you say the price, they're left with all the pressure on them, and you're just silent. You're not going to come in and save them from the silence. They've got all the pressure on them, and then they've got to just think and speak first. The first person to speak after the price is said loses. That's the person who's going to buy. And so it's very important to flip it at this stage. They'll ask you for the price, you tell them it, then shut up, and then that's how you go through this process, right? So a script, number 3, it's a logic machine. Now, I had to figure all of this stuff out for myself. I read dozens of sales books, I went and attended lots of seminars and courses and everything, and I also had to do thousands of calls. I did thousands of sales calls, and I recorded them all, transcribed them, studied them, listened to the recordings, and really figured out the different pieces and the different parts of the puzzle and how they fitted together. And over time, I was able to optimize this thing and turn it into a process that really anybody can follow. So when I got started, it took me ages to figure out how to close people with a systematic process. Now what happens is, when I help people start their own business, I give them my script. I give it to them word for word, step by step. And total novices who know nothing about sales, who have no confidence, they're introverted and everything, even people who have stutters and speech impediments, I'm not even joking here, they take this script and they're able to use it and get systematic and reliable results immediately. So that is the power of having a script. It removes all the guessing, and it removes all the time and pain it takes to put a process like this together. So these are the 3 things you need, and I'll start at the top. If you want to have the life that you really desire, you've got to think about yourself right now where you are, right? Think about where you are right now. Think about where you want to be. Where do you want to be this time next year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to live? How much money do you want to make? What sort of lifestyle do you want to have? You want to think about these things. And then you want to think, well, am I going to do anything about it? Or am I just going to just dream, right? You've got to face the truth. Like, if you want something, then don't just think about it, put a plan together. Because by not planning, you're planning to fail. And that's why a game plan is so important. You need a game plan. And it starts, number one, with focus, and we do that by picking a niche. And here's the process to do that. The second piece we need is we need a machine. We don't want to have a business that's as reliable as a drunken bet in Las Vegas. And that really is being a bit too nice to most people. Most people's businesses, like if I'm drunk and I'm in Vegas and playing roulette, I pretty much have like a 48% chance, right? That's a shitload more chance than most business owners have of getting clients. So if I'm drunk and in Vegas gambling, I've got more chance than most business owners have. And that's not even any exaggeration of the truth. That's the fact. And so by not having a machine, we're really gambling our lives and our futures. And that's not something you want to gamble. It's all right to gamble $20, but it's not all right to gamble your life and your family's life. That is why we need a machine. We want something where we put $1 in, $10 comes out. Put $1 in, $10 comes out. And that is why we build this client-generating machine that takes someone from a stranger to a scheduled appointment in our calendar, day in, day out, like a well-oiled machine. Then number 3 is we need a script. And a script is a different type of machine. It's a logic machine. It's a process and a system and a methodology that takes someone from the start of the call to pulling their credit card out and paying you money. And I've walked you through this process here. Now, if you have these 3 things in place in your business, there's really no way that you can't be successful. So if you aren't successful right now and you're not where you want to be, well, you probably don't have a plan, you probably don't have focus or a machine or a script, right? But there's also one other thing that you really need in business to be successful and in life to be successful. I'm going to talk about this one right now. So, you really need a map. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that I want to go fishing, and so my plan is to go charter a boat and get some friends together and go fishing, right? That could be my game plan. But without a map, chances are we're probably going to crash into something, or we're not even going to find where the fish are, and it's just going to be a lame trip. We're going to go out there and we're just going to have our lines in the water and nothing's going to bite, right? Well, this is why we need a map. We need to know where the fish are in the sea. It's not enough to just drive out there and look. We need to know where they are. We need to know where they're lurking, and often where they're lurking is not where most people are. With fishing, it's fascinating. Like you've got, let's say this is like the ocean. Generally, here's like the popular spots, right? And, there's like hundreds of people all over here because these are the popular spots that pretty much everyone knows about. This is conventional wisdom. This is common knowledge, right? But where the fish really are most of the time is where a few people know about, and it's where no one else really is. So they'll often be over here, and you'll often find 1 or 2 boats here just catching everything. These guys out here they've got so many fish, they need to start throwing them back in. It's just line in the water, strike. These guys over here, there's hundreds of people around them, and nothing's happening. And they're wondering why. This is what everyone said was the good place to go, right? Well, the same thing happens in business, the exact same phenomenon. And really, you need to have a map to know where the fish are. And where you think the fish are is never where they are, because people have already fished those spots out. If let's imagine that you're like a fish, and then that becomes common knowledge that this is the place to go fishing, do you think the fish are going to stay there? No, they're going to move. So what most people think is the place to go to is where the fish aren't, right? And it's the same in business. The place where everyone says to go and look into and try is where the customers aren't. So quite often, most people, they go to these spots, they try to get customers, no bites, nothing happening. And so really you need a map, and you need a map from an insider. And we'll call this inside information. And I remember once when I went, I bought a boat back in New Zealand, and I would go out trying to fish at all of these hot spots, never caught anything. And then I thought, well, really I need some inside information. Like all I'd been doing is looking on the surface, looking at what common belief was about where the fish were. And then I met this guy who was scrappy, and he didn't like have the fanciest boat, the fanciest gear or anything. But what he did have was a lot of fish and a lot of knowledge about where the fish were. So I offered to pay this guy to take me out and teach me everything. And it only cost like $400 for him to take me out for a whole day, and I got to bring a friend. And we went out and we caught a shitload of fish. And from then onwards, I knew exactly how to do everything. And so really, what I needed to know was inside information and a map. And he got a map, like an actual paper one, and drew the spots we went to, explained why they were good, explained the type of line and the type of setup that we would put in there, and the times of the day and everything where these different spots worked. And after I paid him for that inside information, everything changed for me. Like I all of a sudden was able to actually catch fish and know what I was doing. And so this was a crucial turning point. And it didn't just happen with fishing. When I went into business and I started my own company, when I tried to figure it out on my own, and when I followed what the common advice was, I didn't catch anything. I didn't get any clients, I didn't make any money. But when I started to pay insiders for their information, when I started to get them to give me an insider's map, that's when I started to make a lot of money and started to be successful. So what I want to talk to you about right now is getting a map for yourself, getting a map for your life and getting a map for your business. Because without a map, you're just like me going out with fancy gear, trying to catch fish, and you're not getting anything. And it was pretty embarrassing, to be honest. Like I had a fancy boat, fancy lines and everything. I looked the part, but I wasn't able to catch anything. But then I noticed these scrappy dudes with bad boats and bad lines were just kicking my ass. And then that's when I sucked up my pride, went and asked them for advice. Everything changed. So what I want to talk to you about now is getting a map for yourself. And what I want to talk about is the Consulting Accelerator Training Program. So the Consulting Accelerator Training Program is a 6-week proven and tested online course that shows you how to go from knowing absolutely nothing about business. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to have any skills, any experience. You can be totally oblivious to business in every way, shape, and form, right? It shows you how to go from there to starting your own consulting business and getting your first client and making money in 42 days' time. And a lot of people do it a lot sooner than that, but that is what the course is about. How to go from knowing nothing to having a consulting business and a paying customer, making money in 42 days. And that is what the Consulting Accelerator Program teaches you how to do. And what it really is it's a map. So, let's say this is this is the business ocean, right? And what happens is, a lot of people start their own businesses and they listen to what the blogs say and what the conventional wisdom is, whatever the hot topic of the moment is, like some chatbots or some Bitcoin or something like that, right? These different hot things. Most people just go start over here, but the competition is vicious. It's like these guys are almost fighting each other and punching each other in the face, fighting for absolutely nothing. That's pretty much what's going on. But where all of the customers are, where all the money is, where all the profits are to be made, is over here. And it's not where conventional wisdom and common knowledge says it is. And what the Consulting Accelerator Program is it is a map that shows you where to go, and it shows you exactly how to fish at each different spot. So just like that fisherman taught me, like at this spot, you use this line and this setup, and you drop the line to the bottom, then you wind it up this much, and then you jig, right? At each different spot of the ocean, there's a different way to fish. And so that really is what the accelerator is. We show you the different parts of the ocean, how to get there, when to go there, and exactly how to fish in those different spots. Now, how it works is it's basically 6 weeks, and I'm going to tell you what those 6 weeks are right now. Number one, week one, is foundations. And here, I show you exactly how to pick your niche, right? So a lot of people think, oh, before I join a program like this, I need to have my niche. Not true. You need to join this program to figure out how to pick your niche. You know, you don't figure out how to pick your niche and then join the program. That's like losing weight and getting fit and then joining a gym. You don't do it. You go to the gym, and then by going to the gym, you learn how to lose weight, and you lose weight, all right? So don't think that you need to have your niche before you join the program. That's backwards. You join the program to figure out what your niche is. So when you join in week one, we figure out what your niche is. We find a market, we find a niche where there is a true market need and a true desire. And then we make sure it's something that you're personally interested in. And then we make sure that what your offer is something that they are willing to pay money for. We validate everything to make sure that it's going to work. We know all the boxes to check to make sure this thing works. And within the first 7 days, we get your niche picked, we get your offer crafted, and we get everything dialed in 7 days. And most people take years to do this. You know, I meet some consultants and entrepreneurs that don't have the foundations right, and they've been in business for like 40 years. We get you dialed in, we get you standing on their throat in the first 7 days. Then in the second week, we talk about mindset. Now, mindset isn't just some like woo-woo thing like where you just feel good and feel happy and everything like that. I personally hate that stuff because I know that just being motivated but not knowing what to do is stupid. You know, you shouldn't be motivated by not knowing what to do. You should feel bad. And that's why we have these feelings and emotions in our body. You know, most people, you know, they try and work on mindset to not feel like depressed. Well, the reason why they're depressed, there's probably a reason. Their life probably isn't that good. So maybe they should fix their life instead of trying to like just get more motivated. So I'm not about this typical woo-woo mindset stuff. I'm about mindset stuff that really has its foundations in facts. So when I started my consulting business, I learned everything. I knew what to do, but I just couldn't do it. It's like I had all of the knowledge, but I couldn't call people. I couldn't make that step out. And that's when I started to realize that there was like a psychological barrier there. It wasn't just about knowing the information. It was about really getting outside of my comfort zone. And so what I did is I really studied myself and studied like psychology and everything to figure out what my problem was here. And I figured out that I really had an image of myself in my mind about who I thought I was and what other people thought of me. And this image of myself had become so crystallized and defined that when I tried to start my own business, I was fighting against it. You know, I was this person, shy, not outgoing, didn't really achieve well, all of this stuff, right? And then I was trying to be somebody who was outgoing and successful in everything. And what was happening in my mind is this war, like a knife fight between who I was and who I thought I was and who I wanted to be. And what I really had to do is change this perceived image of myself. And when I was able to do that, I was able to just move through easily. And so the biggest hack really with mindset is, you know, who you are right now is not the person that you will be when you achieve your goals. Because plain and simple, if you were the person that you were going to be when you achieve your goals, you'd have your goals. That's it. So if you don't have your goals, you're not the person you need to be to get them, right? So instead of trying to get your goals as the person you are, which is very hard and doesn't happen, instead of focusing on the goals, focus on changing yourself. Because when you change yourself and you become the person who you need to be to get the goals, goals happen. It's a hack. It's a psychological hack. And this thing is dangerous. This thing works so well, it's scary. This is how I've been able to take people from knowing nothing to having their own consulting businesses, because it's not just about the logical things, it's about the psychological side of things too. It's about helping people become somebody else, become a better version of themselves. And that's what we do in week 2. And then in week 3, it's all about sales. So here in week 3, I give you my sales script, and I teach you everything you need to know about sales so that you can take my script and use it in your own business starting immediately. And so within the first 21 days, we've got you on the phone, making sales, making money. And like I said, I give you my actual script, the thing that took me like years, thousands of hours to create. Then in 4, we talk about attracting clients. So here, I give you my client generating machine. So you know how we talked about the machine before? Well, I don't just tell you about it, I give it to you. So I give you the actual software, the actual templates, everything, and you can install it with one click. So when you join the accelerator program and you get the map and the insider info, you learn the art and the science about getting clients, and then I give you the actual funnel and the actual client generating machine. All you do is click a button and then it's installed, and then you're able to start using it to get clients. If you were to try and build this thing by yourself, it would probably cost you like $30,000. It would probably take you 6 months to get it done. But we give it to you and you can install it with one click. And I also teach you 2 different methods for getting clients. One is organic and the second is paid. Now, when you start out in business, you don't want to just go straight to Facebook ads because they cost money. And I'm aware that not everybody has money to invest in Facebook ads. So we give you 2 methods, organic and paid. Organic methods are methods that you can use for free, and you can use them to get clients right away. And then what we do is we use organic methods first. We get our first 5 clients that way. We start making money that way. And then we invest some of that money into paid ads to really scale things up and ratchet up to that next level. Then in week 5, it's all about Facebook ads. So here, I really go like in full detail, forensic detail, about Facebook ads, how it works, and how you can exploit it and crush the competition in any niche that you're in. So here, in Facebook ads training, it's 24 hours of training. That's how intensive this is. People who join this program, they say, this thing here could be a program on its own, and this thing here could be sold for like 10 grand on its own. Because there's people who are Facebook experts that provide programs on Facebook, and they don't even touch this thing. And why I've been able to create such a good training on Facebook ads is because I understand the thing so well. I started using it like 4 or 5 years ago now, so I've been using it since its day of inception, and I've been using it as it's evolved the whole way through. And I've also spent a huge amount of money on Facebook ads. Just last month, I spent around $1 million on ads. In 1 month, spent $1 million. So I've spent millions on ads, and the most important thing is I've made way more millions than I've put in. Generally, as a general rule, for every $1 I put into ads, I get back about 5. And I've put in millions over a long period of time. So by doing that myself and teaching thousands of others how to do it, I've really developed a process and a method so that you can go from being a total novice about Facebook ads to literally standing on everybody's throats with it. You will be running loops around everyone with this training. And then the 6th week is service delivery. So if you're going to have a consulting business, you need to have a niche, you need to have an offer, you also need to know how to get clients, and you need to know how to sell them, right? That's what we do here. You also need to work on your mindset a bit so that you can get past the fears and the emotional obstacles as well. But more than that, you need to know how to deliver the services to them, right? And most people, they have this philosophy that the more you give somebody, the better it is, right? And the way I refer to it is like more stuff in the bag method. And it's like saying that your offer, let's say it's like a bag, and it's just like throwing more stuff in the bag. The more stuff you put in the bag, the more value it is. Not true. You know, when people hire consultants, they don't care about all of this crap they're going to give them. They just care about one thing and one thing only: solving their problem. And so most people, they try and do all of this stuff for their clients. They give them all of this different training, they give them one-on-one calls, they give them all of this crap, and they don't need any of it. And actually, they go out of their way to deliver all of this crap, and then they don't deliver the one thing that the guy needed. That's what most people do. It's lunacy, really. And so in this week, I show you my method of minimum viable service delivery. And what that is really looking at what the market wants, what the problem is, what the solution is, and just providing that with the least amount of us possible. So most people think that the harder they work and the more hours they put in, the more happy the client is going to be. Not true. The client doesn't care how much you work and how much you sweat. They only care about themselves and the results that they get. So we take a view on it where we do as little work as humanly possible, and they get as much results as humanly possible. We try and work those two extremes. And here I will show you things that you have never seen before about how to structure the ultimate consulting service. And not just a service, but how to really evolve from doing services to actually selling coaching programs, and then ultimately transitioning into online training programs and online products. So that's what we teach here in week 6. And so that basically is the 6-week training program, and that's how the map works. It's inside information from somebody who's been there and done that. You know, it's like I've been fishing the ocean of consulting for a long time, and I've done very well at it. And so what I'm teaching you here is everything that I know, and it's my insider info, and it's my map. And with the Consulting Accelerator program, you get the 6 weeks, but you also get some other things. We give you access to a Facebook group, which has all of our members in it. So when you join, you can talk to other people, you can partner up with them, you can get accountability partners. And one thing that we do that's very different compared to other programs is we get people to partner up to practice the sales script. You know, often people, they can get a script and they have a niche and an offer, but they're not confident enough to sell it. So what we do is we simulate the real life process. We simulate it. We get people to partner up with each other. One person pretends to be the prospect, one person is the salesperson, and they do simulated sales calls. And once they do enough of those, once they practice in the simulated environment, they're confident enough to go to the real world environment. And that's one of the key differences that this program has compared to any other program out there. We also provide two-hour Q&A calls every single week. So every week we've got live Q&A calls. You can show up, ask any questions you've got, and we will help you answer them. You can also ask anything you want in the Facebook group. Any time of the day, someone will help you out. It is an amazing community to be a part of, and a lot of people actually say that the community has provided like more value than like the course alone. And that's not saying that the course isn't valuable. Like, this course is extreme, but the community is like very extreme. And that is basically the gist of it. And another thing that we offer that most other programs don't is this black box. And remember, I told you I was going to talk about this. So we give you the online training program, which you can access online through your computer, and you just log in with a username and password. All the videos are there, the transcripts are there, the MP3s are there, and everything. You can even use it on your mobile phone or tablet. But more than that, we also ship you one of these boxes. And so you can see here, Consulting Accelerator, and in here, you can see all of this stuff. So, you know, I'll give you just an overview. Like, here's the mindset planner that you use. So you go through the mindset training in week 2, and you put your mindset training stuff in here. So every day when you wake up, you read this. Every night before you go to bed, you read this. This becomes like a ritual to help you evolve into the person that you need to be to achieve the things that you want. Then we also give you a planner, Alchemy Planner. So this is a day planner designed to pretty much, It's designed exactly the way it should be for our method of consulting. So you put in your schedule and everything, then there's KPIs and metrics, which is how many sales calls did you do, how many leads did you generate, all of this stuff. So this is designed to keep you accountable and to keep you, sharp and on the ball every single day. And we ship you out one of these when you join. We also give you the sales script, which is what I talked about here. And like I said, I give you my actual sales script, no joking. And so you can see here, I'll walk you through just a couple of pages. So there's pre-call preparation, stating the agenda, like I said, understanding the situation and everything. There's even objection handling. Every objection you could think of, we've got here, we've got the rebuttal to it. This thing is dangerous. This thing, is money right here. And then, we get into the meat of the training here. So here's like part one of the course. So what we've done is, we've taken the program and turned it into a workbook as well. It's got all of the slides, all of the transcribed text, so that you can work the way that, best suits you. You can listen to audios, watch the videos, or you can read along in this book. And so weeks 1 to 3 are in here. You can see the size of this thing. It's like a phone book. Weeks 1 to 3 are here, and then weeks 3 to 6 are here. So look at the size of this. Most training programs you buy, you're like, are you serious? This guy just literally was selling that? But this thing is different. This is like my life's work here. And it's taken me 6 years. It's taken me like my whole life to be able to compile something like this and make something of this quality. And so you've got part 1, part 2, and we also give you a notebook so that you can take notes. So that is what you get when you join as well. We ship one of these to you, the box set. Let's put it like that. So every other day that, if you were to buy the Consulting Accelerator program, the normal everyday price is, put this here, the normal everyday price is $6,000, right? So if you were to buy this program any other day, it would be that. But what I want to do is open up registrations for this program at a very special price, and it's only going to be for 72 hours time, which is 3 days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this price here down to $1,999. So that's like $4,000 off. So any other day it would cost you $6,000, but for the next 72 hours you're going to get it for $19.99. And if you can't front this, well, I'll give you a split payment option as well, which is 5 times payments of $5.99. Right? So you can either pay up front or you can pay 5 split payments of $5.99. And like I said, the price any other day, $6,000. And what you get is the 6-week training program, access to the Facebook group for life. You get access to the weekly Q&A calls for life. You get training and support on this program for life. It's not just the information. A lot of people, they sell these training programs, they just give you the info, but there's no support. It's like buying a software and there not being any support. Like, how does that work? So we give you the program and the support. And our support team that we open 7 days a week. We've got the Facebook group, which people will help you within 5 minutes of asking your question. We've got the 2 Q&A calls every single week. You get access to that support for life. And you'll also be able to partner up with other people and develop awesome relationships and everything. And we ship you this box set with all of this stuff, and we ship it free shipping. So anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where you are, we'll ship you this and we'll cover the cost of shipping. And we do all of that for $1,999. So what I want you to do right now is just really be honest with yourself. Are you where you want to be in life right now? Think about where you are right now, your situation and everything. Are you where you want to be? And if you're not, well, where do you want to be? You know, the number one thing that everyone really has to define is what do they want? Because if you don't know what you want, it's like going to the airport and just saying to the person, oh, just give me any ticket for anywhere. And then, you know, you might end up in some country and you're like, oh my God, I didn't want to be here. Well, that's what happens when you just play the game of chance. So what do you really want? You know, where are you right now in life? Where do you want to be? Think about that. Ask that question of yourself. Think about where you want to go. And then you need a game plan. And you really need a process that you're going to follow. Because by not planning, you're really planning to fail. And that's why a game plan is so important. And if you really want to be successful, if you really want to shortcut the years, the heartache, and you know the depression and everything that comes with failure and trial and error, which is inevitable if you go into something without a map. You know, when I first went into business without a map, I just fell on my face again and again and again. It was like falling on my face and then getting dragged by a car on coarse concrete for like miles. That's what it was like for me, and that's what it's like for anybody that goes at it alone without a map and without the inside information. So if you're serious about changing your life, if you're serious about changing your financial position and everything, then I strongly recommend that you invest in a map and some inside information. And that is exactly what the Consulting Accelerator program is. And like I said, it's usually $6,000, but for the next 72 hours only, it's going to be $19.99. And there's going to be a countdown clock beneath this video here. So on this page, there'll be a countdown timer and it'll be red. And as soon as that thing hits 0, this thing's coming offline. This offer, down. This video and everything, down. And this opportunity to get into this program and save yourself $4,000, gone. So really ask yourself, what do you want? Where do you want to be? And then you really want to invest in a map. Because if you go at it alone, then you're going to mess it up. And I don't mean that in a harsh way or anything. I really mean it in a helpful way, because you know, the truth is always what's going to help someone the most. Because if someone is heading for like a train wreck and you say to them, oh, it's all right, man, yeah, it's cool, you might make them feel better in the moment, but that person's still going to die. And so really, the truth can hurt sometimes. And the truth here is that if you go into the battlefield of business and the battlefield of entrepreneurship without a map and without insider info, you're going to get crushed and you're going to get steamrolled by the other people. Because there's people in the market that have this information. And if you come face to face in combat with them, they're going to steamroll you. So you want to invest in this program right now. Save yourself $4,000. The price is $19.99 or 5 payments of $5.99. And like I said, it's only available for 72 hours. After that, it's gone. So scroll down, click the green button below and to enroll in the Consulting Accelerator program before this thing gets taken offline. And you know, one thing that I'm sure you're thinking is, well, Sam, that's great. Like, you've had awesome transformation and everything, but how do I know this will work for me, right? And it's a good question. So since I've started helping people with this, with the Consulting Accelerator program, which has been years now, like 4 or 5 years, I've helped my students together. They've made over $400 million. Real number that we have from real facts, 400 million. And not only that, but we've created 25 millionaires. So 25 people have taken this program and made more than $1 million a year with it. Also, 451 people are making 6 figures, and over 3,100 people have quit their jobs and started their own consulting businesses because of this program. Now, you find me any other program out there, anywhere in the world, that has that much proof behind it. Because, you know, this program is different. Like I said, this isn't something that I just did, or it's not some opportunity that I'm just trying to exploit. Like, this is my life's work. I've been committed to this thing for a long time. And so you'll find the information in here, the quality of it, the level of service you get, and the results that you're able to achieve with this is just like night and day compared to anything else that you've ever done. So if you want to make a change in your life, then it takes change to get it. You know, if you want change in your life, but you're not willing to change anything you do, well, what do you think is going to happen? It takes change to get change. And so if you want to change your life, then I recommend changing and investing in this map and getting the insider information. You know, in the financial market, if you're buying and trading stocks, you go to jail for having insider info. But the cool thing about the consulting field is that it's totally legal. So it's like, you know, pretty much trading stocks with a sheet of what to buy and sell. It is illegal in some industries, but it's totally legal here. So like I said, it's usually $6,000, but for the next 72 hours only, save $4,000, $19.99 or 5 payments of $5.99. Scroll down on the page right now, click that green button, let's get you enrolled into the Consulting Accelerator program, and I look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group and on the Q&A calls pretty much immediately after you enroll. If you enroll today, I'll be seeing you in the Facebook group in like the next 20 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to working with you, and I'm really looking forward to helping you start your business and changing your life. Thanks.